Welcome to the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. My name is Danny Heifetz, and I am joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck. And today we are previewing the Super Bowl. We are currently in New Orleans, kind of. We are recording this episode on Thursday, January 30th, because we wanted to run it first thing Monday, because right now, depending when you're listening, we are currently traveling to New Orleans on Monday.
Yeah, DK right now is in the skies enjoying a movie on his laptop, listening to podcasts, listening to music, kind of ingesting as much media as he can before his flight from New Orleans to LA.
Yeah, so we wanted to get our Super Bowl thoughts out as the week started. We still have episodes coming this week while we're in New Orleans, so we have still stuff coming. But we want to just like preview the Super Bowl. Like, you know what? We could do it twice in 1 week. It's fine. So yeah, DK, you could figure out your middle seat flights for Saturday now.
Yeah.
Figure out what you're going to think about. Good luck with your own thoughts for 4 consecutive hours.
I can do this.
We have just basically, we want to just preview the Super Bowl just to start with. We all wanted to just bring like 4 or 5 stats of just something that we think kind of captures something we were thinking about the Super Bowl. And honestly, we just wanted to like talk and vibe this out. We have not really talked about the Super Bowl at all since like the game, since Sunday when the conference championships ended. So we're just going to go through these. And I kind of want to just start number 1. This is the dumbest and most basic stat of all I have. And it's kind of dumb and maybe defeats the point of the exercise, but this is where I wanted to start. I wanted to start with the number 1 stat here as I think about the Super Bowl is the Chiefs are favored by 1.5 points.
Yep.
Where are you at on that right now? Like, Craig, like when you hear Chiefs 1.5, like what goes through your head?
That I'm going to be taking Patrick Mahomes, and I don't care who he's playing. If he's favored by only 1.5 points, I will be taking the Chiefs.
I feel like I'm missing something. DK, isn't that how you feel too?
Yes, I feel like I wish we could go back. I want to go back and like listen to our pods from this time last year, and basically the bottom line was like, I'm going to take the team that has Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to continue to do that.
Do you think this Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl Heifetz, more sharps are going to take the Eagles than the first time?
100%. I think so. That's kind of what I'm getting at with this is that the Chiefs being a 1.5 favorite, and I'm like, I'll tell you what I'm going to do in advance. I'm going to spend like 4 days thinking about ways the Eagles can win, and then I'm going to take the Chiefs.
Yeah, if the Super Bowl was one day after the championship week, like if those games happened on Sunday and then on Monday was the Super Bowl, everybody would just bet the Chiefs. But because you have 2 weeks
to overthink,
people start to dig into things and look at stuff, and it's like, well, actually, all the numbers show that the Eagles win in every category, and we have 1.5 points, and then everybody takes the Eagles, and then the Chiefs are going to win by 3.
I do think that's what's happening. The math favors the Eagles. The models favor the Eagles. And I think the sharp bettors, quote unquote, like, you know, the 2% of people in the world who are actually really good at betting, I think they're thinking about taking the Eagles. I think that they also have eyes and recognize that Patrick Mahomes might be Michael Jordan. And so they're not sure that trust their own numbers, but the numbers do say take the Eagles. And so I think that, and again, I can't stress enough how much I probably should by know how FanDuel sets lines. I still don't really actually get it. But I think what's happening here, I should have figured that out by now, but I do think what's happening is if the model spits out Eagles by 2, you can't put that out into the world because everyone's going to take Mahomes in the points. Everyone's going to take Mahomes in the points. So you just put out Chiefs minus 1.5. And then I don't know. I don't really understand. It just feels too easy. I don't get it.
What do you think it should be?
I think my first instinct was it should be Chiefs by 2.5. But like, I also see how like some really smart people are like, some smart people who I won't name are basically like, yeah, no, my thing says it should be Eagles by 2. And I'm like, what? But I think that's what it says.
I think you can make that argument. There's like an analytical argument versus a gut feel argument. I don't know what to call the argument in favor of Patrick Mahomes, but it's like the analytical point of view. I think you could look at the way that the Eagles are playing right now.
That's the
thing. They look like
the
favorite.
If this wasn't Mahomes' 5th Super Bowl in 7 years, I would agree with you.
If Mahomes was anyone else in the world, if Mahomes was Josh Allen, if Mahomes was Lamar Jackson, any of the other 7 billion people on the planet, the Eagles would be favored.
Right.
So on that note, my other stat here related to this, Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs is 17-3.
Career?
In the playoffs. 17-3 in the playoffs, which I will remind you, that's where the good teams play. Patrick Mahomes at 29 already has more playoff wins than Joe Montana, which I'm sure for people of a certain age that will blow their mind.
Mahomes' career stats when he's done are going to be fucking nuts.
Literally, the only difference left is how long he plays. The thing with Brady that was amazing was like the longevity of he keeps going, and that's the part that you'll never know.
Brady played till he was 45, right?
He should have stopped at 44. Like there are things where you're like, oh, Brady and Manning. You're like, dude, Tom Brady won more Super Bowls in his 40s than Peyton Manning did, period. You know what I mean? Like the longevity was what kept it going. That's how Brady has more Super Bowl wins than any individual team. So, but
it's like your 401k. If you just wait a few extra years, you can make a couple $1,000,000 extra.
And so Brady has 35 playoff wins, and Mahomes is basically already at half.
Yeah, but he's got 17. Well, that's the thing. Is Brady literally doubled up Montana. Brady has as many playoff wins as the 49ers as a team. The Niners are 30 years older than Brady. But like
imagine if Mahomes plays for another 16 years.
Well, that's the thing. It's like if he does, and that's the thing. It's crazy.
Like, where are we going to be in 16 years?
My EOE will have killed me by then.
No, you'll be dead. You'll be super dead. But all we did when Brady retired was like, well, we'll never see that again. I'm like, well, that didn't take long, did it? Right. Like, damn, I guess we will see it again. But I know I've been saying this all over again and again, but if the Chiefs win this and get a three-peat, Mahomes will have won 4 Super Bowls in his first 7 seasons. And just as a reminder, literally he'll be tied with Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw in Super Bowls. Brady didn't win his 4th Super Bowl till he was 37. And again, 4 Super Bowls, 7 seasons. Michael Jordan did not make the NBA Finals until the 7th season. So, like, we're watching this whole new thing. The stakes of this are crazy. And that really is why. It's just like you can't give this guy points in a game. It's, this is like really an inflection point to whether he will just, like, honestly, Mahomes is the second best quarterback ever if he wins this game. I don't think it's even a question.
Where do you put Andy Reid in the pantheon of head coaches if they win this?
I don't know. It's funny.
Second already, I suppose.
Well, Andy Reid from 2000 until 2017, which is not a small amount of time, was the playoff joker.
Right.
He couldn't do anything.
He was like known as the guy who sucks in the playoffs.
Yeah. It's like all those things of like, oh, what would Belichick be like if he was away from Brady? We don't know, right? The Andy Reid thing was like, fair or not, that was the reputation. Reid can't manage the clock. He can't win games. And then he got Mahomes. And I think Reid actually doesn't get enough credit for developing Mahomes. If Mahomes went to Chicago, we would probably be making fun of him, to be honest.
That's what I'm getting at, actually, is like, we talk about Mahomes ad nauseum, and he deserves all the praise, obviously, but I think Andy Reid needs to be discussed as well, too. I'm just looking at the career numbers for playoff wins and playoff games for head coaches. Number 1, most playoff wins ever for a coach, Bill Belichick with 31. Andy Reid has 28.
Oh, my God. So in theory, he could hit that by like next year.
Belichick has 6 titles. So that's obviously like a huge hurdle. Andy Reid right now has 3. He could get 4 here. But man, Andy Reid is his winning percentage not quite as high. Belichick's is 71% essentially. His is 64. But yeah, I mean he's gonna end up probably the second greatest coach of all time. Depending if Mahomes plays for another 16 years, who knows?
Reid might be Mount Rushmore coach, and I think he doesn't get enough credit for 2 things. 1, identifying and developing Mahomes. The only people who saw Mahomes for what he was. I do actually believe, for all we make fun of him, I actually believe Sean Payton when he says that he also saw Mahomes, because Mahomes, what he was if Brett Favre actually could think and wasn't kind of an idiot. And that's right. And Andy Reid was the quarterback's coach for Brett Favre. And like Andy Reid just saw, like literally Brett Veach, the GM, showed him tape and he was like, oh, this is Brett again. And the other thing Reid doesn't get credit for that no one talks about is how awful the Chiefs were before he showed up. I don't know. There have been very, very few, and I'm like including the 2017 Browns. There have been very few situations with worse vibes than like the 2013 Chiefs team that Andy Reid took over and then just immediately made the playoffs for like 8 of 10 years.
Yeah, they became like a 10-6 solid Alex Smith team every year. Yeah,
the vibes were horrendous in Kansas City on like a deep spiritual level, and then Andy Reid just immediately turned it around. And so Reid is amazing. This again, we could get to the actual game, but like I don't want to overstate it. But like we will be talking if the Chiefs win this game, we will literally talk about Mahomes like until we die. Like we'll talk about him for like 40 years, 50 years. Like you know what I mean? It's the way we're still talking about Joe Montana or whatever. It's like it'll take 40 years to forget about this guy.
Do you guys think the ratings will be up or down for this game?
It's a great question.
They're always up.
People say there's a long history of people saying they won't watch the NFL and then watching the NFL.
I think the ratings will be up, but I think a lot of people think it'll be down because it's a repeat and it's boring and people are bored of Mahomes. I don't know. That feels like a hot media take, but in general, I do think normal people are going to be like, oh shit, Patrick Mahomes is in the Super Bowl again. Travis Kelce's in the Super Bowl again. He might win 3 in a row. We're definitely watching.
Like if the people, here's the thing, hatred's an emotion. And if people are emotionally attached to the game, like, you know what? People want to see them lose. Like if people are like, oh, I don't want to watch the Chiefs again. Well, if the Chiefs are getting their asses kicked, people want to see. People might turn it off if the Chiefs go up 14 points, But guess what? The Chiefs are always fucking down at halftime. So when the Chiefs are losing, people are gonna be thrilled that it's gonna lose. It's like, did people stop watching Patriots Super Bowls? Like how a lot of people have forgotten how excited we were at halftime of the Falcons Patriots Super Bowl at Tom Brady was getting his shit kicked in. That was an incredible moment.
Dude, I remember that. I started writing an article at halftime about how the Falcons had done it and all that.
Yeah, people love famous people, and people like watching famous people fail.
Yeah.
The ratings would probably be lower if it was Commanders Bills.
I think so, yeah.
Craig, Brady's going to be doing the Super Bowl. Do you think there's going to be any discussion about the legacy between him and Mahomes and Belichick and Andy Reid, or think he's just going to be like, great team, two great teams here?
Don't you feel like Brady has been weirdly quick to make fun of himself and say that people are better than him or compliment other people? I don't know. Brady's announcing is very uncompetitive to me, unlike his play, and I think what his personality actually is. It feels like I would not be surprised if he's like, Patrick Mahomes is on his way to beat me, KB. You got to love this guy. It's unbelievable what he's doing. 4 Super Bowls before he's 30. I didn't have my 4th until I was 37, which is weird, but I do think that is the path he chose to go down.
Brady's the epitome of what DK was saying, where people should be more mad about beating their records. Like, the most authentic Brady could do is like, I want him to lose. I don't want him to catch me. I hate this guy.
Yeah.
I know, but he won't. I think he'll actually go the other way.
I agree. The real I think Brady probably feels untouchable. It's like, imagine if Michael Jordan on the Washington Wizards had beaten LeBron's Cavs in 2007 or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like literally like Brady beat Mahomes in the Super Bowl, which, eventually if you win 8, that's enough. But do
you think that's his favorite Super Bowl win?
He always says it's the next one. So his favorite one is the Raiders Super Bowl win that's incoming. I think that's what he would tell you with a straight face.
It's probably 28-3, but I wonder if that Bucks one is very high because he beat Mahomes. And he got 7.
I actually wait.
Andy did it without Belichick.
Andy did without Belichick. Yeah.
Is it possible? Because Tom Brady, he's kind of a loser, even though he's literally probably the biggest winner in my. That's been alive while I've been alive. I know, but I don't know. Am I the loser?
What do you mean he's a loser?
He's not a loser.
He's not a loser, but I don't know when he's talking and this. I don't know.
It's loser behavior.
Yeah, because he's not like that. Maybe that.
No.
I don't know what's with him. Anyway,
everything about his image is inauthentic.
Yeah,
as an announcer.
Weird. Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Remember, we're gonna have to figure out what the Tom Brady drinking game is for the Super Bowl. So email us more ideas. We'll have to.
Yeah,
obviously,
that's true.
KB is a swig. I think the one I want to add to this, red area. Whenever Brady, he's the most football. He's he doesn't call it red zone. Whenever you're in the red area, I think red area has to be a drink.
Is that a producer note? He's not just saying that, right?
No, I think he's probably said that his whole life. No, they actually say that.
Yeah, they don't say red zone?
No.
No, they say red area.
I don't know.
It's harder to say,
it's like an old school.
syllables.
It's like I think Bill Walsh, maybe. I don't know where it comes from, but it's from the old days. Yeah.
All right.
So Brady calls it red area, and just.
How about drink every time it cuts to them in the booth, and Brady's grinning like a lizard, staring at Kevin Burkhardt.
The beginning of was it Lions Washington? It was amazing.
This is crazy.
Yeah, that was this is crazy.
He said that twice.
Oh my God.
I don't rewatch movies anymore. I just rewatch Tom Brady announcing clips.
God. Okay, so emails for ringerfantasyfootball@gmail. Other thoughts of Brady.
I feel bad. Should I feel bad that I'm bashing on him or no?
He got paid $350 million to be an announcer.
I think DK thinks maybe.
He's the worst
here's where I am.
He gets $35 million a year. It's $2 million a game to do it. It's 4 hours of work.
Look, he's getting very highly paid. He's the most successful football player ever.
And he signed up to get roasted in front of millions of people on Netflix.
All that being said, I am starting to feel a little bit guilty. I have a twinge of guilt about it.
He sucks.
Well, you know what?
He gets paid more than
He's trying so hard out there.
He's getting paid more as an announcer than almost every quarterback. There's 7 quarterbacks that make more per game than Brady's making as a goddamn announcer.
More reps. Come on.
You're right. No, I needed that, Heifetz. Thank you. Now I'm going to double down.
He's the worst announcer we've ever heard in our entire lives.
I would take Witten.
Oh, Witten's bad.
God, Craig, you got to go back and watch Witten.
Witten was bad. I'll give you that. The difference is and Brady does have an insight every quarter, but everything else he says, I think the funniest part to me is that you could watch him talk for an hour and never know he played football. That's the part 100%. That I just can't understand. Witten, I'm I get it. He's just leaning on football. He always brought everything back to tight ends. It was weird, but I never questioned whether Jason Witten had played football.
I think I could replace Tom Brady in the booth and you wouldn't know.
That's what we're making fun of him for. Is he sounds exactly like if we were trying and shitting our pants. And I'm like, aren't you ready for pressure situations?
Do you remember the old back in the day? It was like when you were prank calling people and you'd use the Arnold Schwarzenegger
No, I think that was before our time.
It was like a bunch of movie lines, bunch of lines from his movies, and you could it was like a board that you could push different buttons.
You were like Kevin McAllister in Home Alone.
Yeah, it'd be like, "Who are you? Get to the chopper." It was like, and you would prank call people and just do a bunch of "Who is your daddy and what does he do?" And it would be just a bunch of Arnold Schwarzenegger lines, and they'd record it. It was like the Jerky Boys, I think, who started it.
Oh yeah.
It feels like there's like a Tom Brady cliche board that they just push different buttons during the game.
We should create that.
Great call, KP.
Wait, should we do that at the Super Bowl? Should we should we do an interview and prank call or just find a way to do an interview at the Super Bowl? We just hit buttons
Who
like
are
Tom
you?
Brady.
There is no love lost between these two teams.
Get to the chopper. There's no love lost.
This is crazy.
They both want to win.
Yeah.
They're the two great championship teams.
They are not happy about that turnover.
Who is your daddy?
Kai, write that down.
Do?
There's something there of creating a Tom Brady board. You could. Should we set up a number and people could prank
Tom
call?
Brady Jerky Boys board?
Yeah. Do you remember the John Cena one? That was the one I love. That YouTube video of the radio station.
That one's iconic.
The John Cena one. Oh my God.
I don't know that one.
It's really good. You should look that up.
All right. Well, we're going to do a prop bets episode later this week, and we'll make sure to get some prop bets episode. I made so much money once. Honestly, the most profitable Super Bowl bet I've ever had was betting on Tony Romo, the color of his tie, and what quarter he would get a prediction right. And it was the third quarter. It was like 20-1 and it hit.
Wow.
Like, whoa.
That's
oh my God. Anyway.
I love betting all that stupid shit. And you can bet in Louisiana, so we're going to go hard.
Oh, okay. All right. That's big time. All right. Number 3 here. We have just, again, stats kind of explain the Super Bowl to us. DK, you have the Chiefs really do start trying harder in the playoffs, which that's not really a stat. So
here's my stat, which I made up. The Chiefs are 3 times better in the playoffs.
Okay.
And then they're
3 times better than when they went 15-1.
Yeah, they're 3x better.
They're 45-3.
Than they are in the regular season. I think this has just been a funny, especially the last 2 to 3 years.
I think it would be 45-1, right? Because 45-3 is equally as good as 15.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, that was dumb. See, don't make me do math live.
They kind of coast in the regular season. They don't really try that hard, and then once the playoffs come around, all of a sudden Travis Kelce can run a little bit faster.
That's the 15-1. That was
Patrick
the
Mahomes can escape the pocket a little bit better. He can run a little more. They're just a little bit better. And if you look at the DVOA stats, Aaron Schatz had this this week. It basically confirms everything. This season, during the regular season, they were 8th overall in DVOA with 10.8%. 10.8% in DVOA doesn't mean anything to anybody, I don't think.
To me, it means 11.
Right, sure. 11%. Mm-hmm. In the playoffs this year, their offense has been 32%, which would have been barely behind the Ravens for best in the NFL this season in terms of DVOA. Same could be said for the defense. They were 12th overall during the season. Solid, not spectacular. And they are now 7th in the NFL over the whole year based on what they are doing in the playoffs. So they have just gotten better on both sides of the football. I'm going to say 3 times better on both sides of the football, according to DVOA, even though I'm making that up. It's pretty remarkable, just the light they can or the switch they can hit to get into once they get into the playoffs. And again, Heifetz, you said this. Teams in the playoffs are better. These are better teams. This is the hardest
shit out.
They just played Houston and Buffalo's defenses. Those are good teams.
Yeah. So it's pretty crazy.
Do you think Andy Reid is actually withholding certain plays for the entire regular season?
I think
yes.
When people say that, sometimes it's overrated and it's on the margins of they'll do this play. But at a certain level, yes, you are setting up stuff for the playoffs. Like I think most times, 80% of the time, people are like, oh, they're setting stuff for the playoffs. I'm like, no, they're not. But the teams like this with the Chiefs, there's these awesome old interviews with Greg Maddux, who's, one of the most amazing pitchers ever, and talking about setting up I forget who the batter was, but setting up a pitch in some random game in July and giving up a home run in a regular season game in July because he thought he'd face him in the playoffs, and he did, and he might have been, and he just struck him out. And it's when you are that good, as good as the Chiefs are, where you're going to the playoffs, you're going to be playing meaningful games. I do think that they are setting up certain looks for very specific moments.
Yeah, getting your eyes to go in, having certain plays always go one direction, and then in the playoffs they go the other way. Or something.
Yes, and there's actually a lot of that stuff in this game I want to talk to you guys about how this is going to go. But I think that I don't know But I part of it I do think is that a quiet change is the 2-week gap in the Super Bowl. Like now that it's a 2-week gap, the better coaches succeed. I think Spagnuolo's a great coach, but that's one of the reasons it helps. Andy Reid, like I do think one of the reasons the Chiefs keep winning these goddamn Super Bowls is Reid and Spagnuolo are amazing game planners. And that's a multiplying, they're making every player better because you're giving them more time to implement and coach everyone. Like that's same with Belichick. The coaching is a huge advantage in the 2-week thing.
That brings me to my first stat. Vic Fangio is 0-8 versus Patrick Mahomes. Granted, Vic Fangio was with Miami and Denver for a lot of these games, and those teams were not that good. Miami was better than Denver was, but his teams only averaged 12 points a game on offense, so it's probably easy for Mahomes to win. So there's a little bit of a caveat there.
Right.
But
QB wins.
QB wins, right. 8-0. But yeah.
I'll bring it back. I want to make quarterback wins a stat again. Bring it back.
So Fangio was in Detroit, or was in Denver. Mahomes beat him 6 times. And then before he went to Miami, Fangio was a consultant for the Eagles the last time the Eagles played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And they hired him for those 2 weeks we were just talking about to help prepare to play Patrick Mahomes. Of course, they lost. That year, that Eagles team, that Eagles defense in 2022 led the league in sacks with 70. They bring in Fangio to consult for those 2 weeks. In the Super Bowl, they sacked Mahomes 0 times.
Mm.
So Fangio, it's a very interesting wrinkle in this game. And he was supposed to be the Eagles defensive coordinator 2 seasons ago, but Jonathan Gannon said he'd be back, and then he left to take the Cardinals job without telling the Eagles. They were really mad because Fangio had already gone to Miami. So Fangio was supposed to be the Eagles defensive coordinator the whole time. But the Fangio impact on this game is really interesting because to do a little like nerd cosplay here, but like if the Eagles do win this game, this is like there's like a chapter of era of football that might, I don't want to say it's going to end here, but the whole too high thing we've been talking about for like 5 years now, it started in large part because of Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And it was also the Rams and McVay and the 90s, but like it was to stop the goddamn Chiefs. And you know who the too high thing came from was Vic Fangio. He's the reason. He's the guy who ruined football. This is the guy who was like, again.
Thought it was Russell Wilson.
It was Mahomes. There's a lot of people to it, but like Mahomes was the fucking problem. And it was also the Rams, and it was a lot of people. But Fangio is the guy who did this to the league, whether or not you think it was the Chiefs and everything. Fangio is the guy who did this to everyone. But the world they created was killing all the sexy plays and the cool plays and make these, basically Zoomer quarterbacks who like 7-on-7 quick twitch just want to play Madden. Let's dink and dunk like your grandfather down the field. Do you have the ADHD patience to like actually have a drive? And honestly, the perfect example is Washington last week. A 18-play drive that ended in a goddamn field goal, even though they converted on fourth. That's the Fangio defense in a nutshell. Is like, you're going to go, but it's going to kill you to go. And the Chiefs now, in a few years, have reinvented themselves to, they're the best team in the league at this. They're the best team in the league at dinking and dunking. And so I was talking to, shout out Cody Alexander, who works at Match Quarters and does a great Substack there. He's a really, really, really smart defensive guy. And he was saying basically, if the Eagles come out and do the Vic Fangio stuff, the Chiefs have been preparing to do Fangio stuff for 4 years. And there's an irony.
That's interesting. This is like they're the best dink and dunk team in the NFL now. So, and their personnel is like all designed around that stuff.
Exactly. And so you know what, funnily enough, if the Eagles want to have a change up, you know what would be really funny? And
make them go deep.
You come in, yes, you make them go deep. They come in and play cover one man.
And it's like, all right, fine, beat us with Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown going deep.
100%. Make Worthy and Hollywood Brown, the guys who don't know where the sideline is, catch balls along the sideline. And like
the two messiest receivers.
Exactly, because you couldn't do it against the Chiefs when they had Tyreek Hill. You can't play man against Tyreek Hill or Kelsey in his prime. But now you're like, who can you have to have like the horses on defense to play man. The Eagles match up with the Chiefs really well in man. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson could against hobbled Kelsey. Like Gardner-Johnson is like he could do it. And like again, this is Cody Alexander's like he's so much smarter than me. But I think he's right because like the Chiefs can't do that to the Eagles. If you play man, A.J. Brown, you're like, yeah, we'll take one-on-one A.J. Brown every day. But like if you have safety help, Cooper DeJean can't handle Xavier Worthy doing all the Rashee Rice stuff. Like Hollywood Brown, like Quinion Mitchell on the outside, Darius Slay, like. I think the Eagles actually play man and basically say none of this easy shit, none of your screens and bullshit. Make the low percentage throws outside, and like I think that there's like a full circle, like make Mahomes throw it deep.
I don't know how I feel about that. I think it like philosophically it makes sense, but I still would be afraid of it.
Also, don't you think
You know what I
generally,
mean?
I feel like there's always the idea where when people have a lot of time to analyze the game, that we always come up with these kind of like new solutions where a team would have to change who they are and a coach would have to change their identity overnight. And I feel like it is much more likely that a coach is like, I'm going to stick with what I do and what I know, rather than like, I'm going to change my philosophy for one game because this style doesn't.
And that's the question. And that's like the eternal push-pull of like, you know, a bad strategy well executed, it can be a better sometimes than a good strategy poorly executed.
It's like
but the Patriots did this all the time. You know what I mean? They would change their identity. They would change their approach. They would do something random that you hadn't seen them do
like
all year.
That's operating at the highest level.
Right.
Well, that's
you
the
can
whole
just, like,
thing
morph.
was. Yeah, the whole point of Belichick had no system. It was just an amorphous thing to be able to.
Let's play a defense that works against this scheme.
Yeah, just find the hole in the plot armor and just knowing like McVay is like that was McVay's mistake in that Super Bowl was being like,
right.
Do you think Belichick's not going to watch? And again, that's also where the too high thing came from. Was like, and that was a little different because of McVay's system.
Wasn't that Super Bowl like 6-3 or something?
Yeah,
I
it was
can't
awful. It was disgusting. But the Rams defense was 13-3 or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It was something low scoring.
Yeah, in much simpler terms, it's much easier for me to visualize this style in college basketball, where it's like if a college basketball defense, because you can't really stop an NBA offense. It's a lot harder in the NBA. But in college basketball, you really can just like completely disrupt the offense by changing the defense. And it's like Jim Boeheim's zone in Syracuse, or it's like if a college defense can go from man to a 2-3 zone or a 1-3-1 trap or full court press or something, like you can completely disrupt the opposing offense if you just know the right defense to play. And that's why in college basketball, if you're really good defensively, you can be great every year.
100%. And again, I think sometimes we get so lost in the X's and O's and the schemes because it's so complicated. I do not want to pretend I understand the layers in NFL. Like it's so complicated. But sometimes the complication forgets the reason you do all that stuff can be really simple. The reason Jim Boeheim did the zone was no one practices against it. Like no one sees it. So you're just like, let's just do this thing that no one practices against. It's similar with like Army and Navy and the option where you're like, it works when no one practicing against it. That's the push-pull we talk about schematically is so much actually, what is no one seeing? And then when everyone adopts it and then everyone sees it, it's not actually novel anymore because people know how to beat it. And that's kind of what I'm wondering here. But yeah, it's the same with like zone running and Kyle Shanahan. The original premise for all the stuff we talk about, Shanahan and the zone running and all that, the whole point was, you know who the worst tackler on the defense is? The cornerback. Make the goddamn quarterbacks tackle. Like that was the entire idea. And so, yeah, but I think that's the question. But you're right, Craig. Sometimes it's like, oh, we're going to do this whole new thing that no, but I think that's the decision to watch for.
It's like, what's harder? Telling all these players who have been so good doing this one thing all year to change and switch, or just relying and trusting that we've been good all year and we will continue to be good.
Yeah. Exactly. And so we'll see. To be clear, they're not going to do man's coverage in this red zone. Like the Eagles are no matter what are going to do what they've been
red
doing.
Area.
Zone and sorry, you're right. The red area. I apologize. But we'll see. I'm curious to see if they just kind of like put one high. And it'll be incredible to have like two guys high after all this time. And then Mahomes sees a single safety. He's like, fuck. But anyway. Other stuff on the Chiefs. Speaking of the Chiefs offense though, DK, the other one you sent me was, you said stat for explaining the Super Bowl. Xavier Worthy for the Chiefs has 50 catches in the last 9 games.
I just think, I thought it was interesting that Xavier Worthy has basically done, not quite to the extent that Rashee Rice did as a rookie last year, but he's basically filled the second half of the season, rookie receiver comes on and it's a massive, massive impact. He's essentially leading the Chiefs in all receiving categories over the last 9 games. Going back to week 11.
Rice.
Xavier Worthy.
No, I'm saying like Worthy is Rashee Rice now.
Right. He's taken on that role. Since week 11, Xavier Worthy has a team high 50 catches, team high 522 yards, team high 4 touchdowns, team high 30 first downs. He basically only Kelsey has a higher target rate and he hasn't been nearly as productive with it. And I think honestly, for a while I was like, Xavier Worthy, he's kind of a gadget guy. Like they have to figure out ways to get him the ball. And it's not necessarily, I don't know if I'm super bullish on him long-term. I'm starting to become really excited about what he can be long-term, assuming he can stay healthy because he's obviously, really skinny and small, but like he's beating guys as a route runner. There was one play, I think it was a 3rd or 4th down in this last game against the Bills where he just won off the line of scrimmage, caught the ball, made the guy miss, picked up the first down. And his speed, you could tell he's starting to play at the speed that he's capable of. You know what I mean? Like the game is slowed down for him so he can speed up.
And
that speed is apparent.
And to your point, those are things that like, there's so many fast guys that are kind of like, all right, cool. Like a Tyquan Thornton in the Patriots, John Ross on the Bengals, who I never believed in part because John Ross never did what Xavier Worthy did last week. He went up and got the football too. There's like contested catch situations, which I think some people were like, oh, it's not his game. I'm like, well, he had a broken hand his last season at Texas, didn't he? I'm like, I don't know, that doesn't help. So I think he's doing all these things as a real receiver that he didn't get credit for. But I totally agree. He's unbelievable.
He's been their number one receiver for 9 straight games and going on 10 games. And if you look at the stats for what he's done in this stretch, it's a little bit behind what Rashee Rice did last season. I think Rashee Rice is a little bit, is he like a much different style receiver. He's a big physical, big time playmaker. But I think Worthy presents problems for the defense because of his speed. What you can do on these like crossing routes over the middle of the field, if you get him the ball in space on these like mesh concepts or whatever, where the defense kind of gets jumbled in the middle, and if he gets like if he gets a step on someone, he is gone. And so, he's still a little bit messy. Like we think of the big play that you think of with him this year is that one where he just caught the ball out of bounds. But I think he's starting to come on a lot stronger for the Chiefs. He's much more trusted from Patrick Mahomes. And these crossing routes, these routes from the slot, the swing passes and screen passes, he's really good on. It is kind of wild that he is going to be like a big time X factor in this Super Bowl.
So can I throw something out on all that note?
Get it? Xavier Worthy.
Let me throw something out on that. I believe Xavier Worthy scored the first touchdown of the season. And it was funny, too, because the whole thing with Xavier Worthy
2 touchdowns in his first game.
Yeah, it was 40-yard dash. And it was like, the fastest 40-yard dash at the combine ever. And then they basically have this play for him where they just try to throw him the ball backward and recreate a running lane. They're like, do the 40-yard dash.
Do the fast thing.
Do it. First touchdown of the season. Should we bet on him to score the last touchdown of the season? Last touchdown score in the Super Bowl?
There we go.
That's fun.
Bookend it. So I'm on FanDuel right now. The odds him to score twice in this game, Xavier Worthy, is 11-1. Which is probably bad odds, but I want it. I want to do that.
But it sounds good.
But I want to do it. It's double digits.
What's cool about the Chiefs and Xavier Worthy kind of working out is the Chiefs, we've already seen them succeed with a pretty mediocre talent at wide receiver. But I feel like they're now, like they have a little bit of a 2 timeline thing going on where it's like this year they're surviving with Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown and old DeAndre, old Travis Kelce. I'm sure Hollywood Brown and DeAndre are not going to be on the team next year. Maybe Kelce comes back. We don't know. But it does feel like this team is like kind of already set up for a nice little new squad here with Rashee Rice coming back from injury and still young and good, and Xavier Worthy and like Noah Gray's a solid tight end. It does feel like while they are fucking winning 3 Super Bowls in a row, they're like also setting themselves up for the future with like new, young, developed talent that is getting better and better.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that to me, maybe I probably should have led with this if I was a better podcast host, but this is the better version of last year's, of the 2 years ago Super Bowl between Chiefs Eagles. Like everyone involved is better, honestly, except Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I mean,
Hurts did just play his best game,
but it's not the same
since that game, probably, right? Since that Super Bowl, that might have been his best game.
Yeah,
maybe.
Still one of the best games I've ever seen a quarterback play.
I think this is a Jalen Hurts. I agree with that. I think this game is about Jalen Hurts. I think this whole game is going to be about Jalen Hurts. I mean, my stat here is basically Steve Spagnuolo already has more Super Bowl wins than any NFL coordinator ever.
How many Super Bowl wins does he have now?
He has 4. There's a small handful of coordinators that have 3. But if the Chiefs win this game, Spagnuolo would have 5, and nobody else has 3 as a coordinator.
Wow.
Which is crazy. And I think one of the reasons you get that good is it's like, I think Spagnuolo does a really good job, as simple as this sounds, but the devil's in the details, of keeping the first things first. Like, it's as dumb as it is. It's like the only way to explain Belichick was like, he takes away what you do best. Like, how? And it's like, well, focus. And I think Spagnuolo, it's very obvious. You have to try to stop Saquon and you make Jalen Hurts beat you. Like Jalen Hurts is the guy who's playing like the most mercurial on this team. And I do think that the Chiefs were a better run defense than a lot of the teams the Eagles have been steamrolling. Like it's better than Washington, Dallas, the Rams. Like these teams the Eagles have rolled over recently. Chiefs defense is better against the run than that. I kind of think though that the way like you basically make Jalen Hurts complete passes. And then suddenly and you do that. And I think you disguise stuff. You see, confuse them. But honestly, a name that I don't think we've ever said on the show, but like the guy who's going to guard Devontae Smith in this game more often than not is Chamari Connor, who's the slot cornerback for the Chiefs.
Welcome to the Ringer Fantasy Football Show for the first time ever.
I know. But that's kind of where my brain goes with like that side of the ball, though, because I really think it's going to come down to like, if the Chiefs go man, it's like you toss it up to A.J. Brown. You put McDuffie and A.J. Brown, but like the weaknesses in the Chiefs are everywhere else. And I do think it's like, Hurts and Devontae Smith, like I think it was early. They had that like deep shot right early. And remember he didn't get into the goal line? Like he kind of veered out. Like, I don't know. Devontae had that big drop against Dallas earlier in the season when, remember that? Like they could have put the game away and then he did and he dropped. Or no, sorry, it was Washington. What am I talking about? It was Washington game. Remember Washington beat him? He had the big drop. I think that if the Eagles win this game, it's Jalen Hurts, and specifically, I think it's Hurts to AJ Brown, but also Devontae Smith could be a big guy in this game.
Does that mean we should take the under on Saquon, right?
I think that the move is
the line's like 112 or something, right?
I think it should be every Saquon under and every Jalen Hurts over, because I just think the Chiefs coming into this game is like, we're going to stop Saquon and we're going to make Hurts beat us. Right?
I think this is right. I think this is rationally the right move. But the whole time you were talking, it just kept, it struck me and stuck with me that, damn, this freaking Eagles team is so good. Like you're asking the other team to pass it to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Like that's your plan. It's also just crazy.
Like, it's tough.
How many weeks in a row have teams been like, our plan is to stop Saquon Barkley this week, and then he has 2,400 rushing yards.
It's the Ashton Genty of the NFL. It's like the one I think about all the time with Ashton Genty was Utah State, who gave up an 80-yard touchdown in the first play, and I was like, what did you guys do all week?
I know, 100%. 100%.
That's Saquon last week.
Did you practice? Did you practice at all this week?
Think about the demoralizing that is for Washington's defense. The first play, Saquon gives up the touchdown, gets the touchdown. And you're like, dude, what do you think they talked about for the whole time?
I just think it's so hard to play this Eagles team because exactly what we're saying. There's just so many different ways to beat you. If they take away Saquon, which is a hard enough thing in itself, because their offensive line is absolutely dominant, but they do have some injuries on the offensive line. Maybe that's enough to help the Chiefs kind of keep Saquon in check. But then you have Jalen Hurts, who's scored 1 billion touchdowns in the last couple of years. He's just a touchdown machine, absolutely unstoppable in the short yardage situations. And then he's throwing to 2 of the best receivers in the NFL. I wouldn't say, Devontae Smith is not one of the best receivers in the NFL, but he's one of the best number 2 receivers in the NFL. It's just crazy how good they are. And they have Goddard.
If AJ Brown were ever in a real pass-happy offense, I think he would be in the Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson territory.
He was a couple of years, 125 yards in 6 straight games. Jalen Hurts to score 3 touchdowns himself is 37-1.
Ooh.
Which, is that really that crazy?
He's done it a few times, I feel like.
All
he did it last week.
Right.
I know it was a different team, but I'm kind of like, can he do in the next game what he did in the previous game? 37-1. I know that's probably why the gambling companies keep making more big buildings and stuff, but man, what if it works for us?
This Eagles team is just basically what I'm saying is this Eagles team is built so well.
On that right now.
It's built so well.
My fun stat is very just surface level, and it's just kind of Saquon praise. But Saquon is only 30 yards away from breaking the all-time record for most rushing yards in a single season. 30 yards.
That's crazy.
And he didn't play 1 week.
So
this is a legit record.
Yeah, he has 2,447. He needs 30 to beat Terrell Davis. And he only needs 53 to get to 2,500 yards.
Can I give you guys a take? Everyone's making fun of the Giants for getting rid of him. You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're
this
welcome,
guy
history.
Has been like this the whole time.
Dude, you know what? There was a whole bunch of other teams that could have signed him.
This guy has been like this the whole time. He's been this good. How many times do you look back at a guy's career and you're like, wow, imagine if he'd been on a different team. And then you're listening to your friend and you're like, all right, bud, he probably wasn't that good. Saquon was that guy for the Giants. We're like, man, this is also another nature-nurture thing. You're like, holy shit, he really, what could Saquon, imagine if he was on the Eagles, though. Imagine if the Eagles took him in the draft. Imagine if he'd just been playing for the Eagles the whole time.
It does remind me of when McCaffrey went from the Panthers to the 49ers, and it was all of a sudden having that environment makes him such a force multiplier for an offense.
He scored a touchdown in 20 straight games when he went to the Niners.
It's wild.
Sometimes it is really simple.
It's,
sometimes it's really simple.
So I'm obviously as biased as you could possibly be about the Saquon thing, but I'm on the nose here where Saquon is a 100th percentile person to root for, right? In terms of the elite talent of how cool he is to watch and jaw dropping with how, look, we never know any of these people. You never know who these guys are. We never get to, really know what's in anyone's heart or soul. But from everything we are aware of, Saquon Barkley is also 100th percentile good guy of how respected he is, right? I know I'm biased, but he's a special person.
You're right. I think he has the best approval rating in the NFL.
Yes.
Just what John Morrow was saying.
Like more so than any quarterback because
he's
quarterback
the most popular player on our team.
I think he is the most highest approval rating. I don't think there's anybody who's like, I hate Saquon Barkley. Not a single person.
The Giants gave Saquon's money to Devin Singletary and Drew Lock.
Oh God!
And then didn't even play Drew Lock when Daniel Jones got hurt. So
can I read some more Saquon stats?
Yeah, well, first, before I do that, can I ask you, what would you rather do with the $12 million? Would you rather have Saquon Barkley or Drew Lock and Devin Singletary? Do you think they recreated him in the aggregate?
What's funny is you were like, oh, Saquon, if the Giants kept Saquon, he was probably only worth one extra win, which is funny because Drew Lock was also worth one extra win this year. So.
Yeah, but think about how more watchable the Giants would have been.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, here's more stats. Saquon Barkley has 41% of the league's 60-yard touchdown runs this year.
What?
He has 7 of the 17.
That's amazing.
He's tied with Devin Hester for the most 60-yard touchdowns of any kind in a season.
Oh, wow. Devin Hester.
Yeah.
As
a fucking running back. Saquon has 3 60-plus yard touchdown runs in the last 2 games, which is more than Walter Payton had in his entire career.
Oh, my God. I think that is the thing to linger on here, Craig, and obviously this is your point, but 60-yard touchdown runs are so rare.
Oh, really hard.
Fucking rare. He does it all the time.
Because when he gets the ball, there are 11 guys in front of him.
Right.
As opposed to
and
a receiver.
they're all trying to tackle him.
Half the time a receiver gets a 60-yard touchdown, when they catch the ball, there's maybe 1 or 2 guys in front of them, in between them and the end zone.
Like, can we do an X's and O's breakdown where Craig just explains that?
Here's
you
the deal.
Run, look at all these guys.
Look, there's 11 of them.
There's
you got to run
defenders.
through 11.
When you pass, there's only one guy, maybe
you pass
2.
You pass it over 10 of them.
You should do that with Brady Telestrator.
This goes to what I said the other day, which is Saquon's speed, explosiveness, and vision helps him access run lanes that almost no other running backs can have. And I think when I say that, I'm like, that sounds very obvious, but the proof is, look at the amount of 60-yard touchdowns he's making. Like, it's insane. No normal running backs can't do this.
We don't need to explain to anyone the guy who did the backwards hurdle is a good athlete.
Right.
But you can't do that many 60-yard runs without having a crazy high football IQ. Obviously, the blocking's good. Needless to say, the Eagles have the best offensive line in the NFL. But you have to have a football IQ to set up that many blocks. He's a
special athlete who has incredible acceleration, burst, lateral agility. To like in the game last week on that first play from scrimmage, he was surrounded by 3 Commanders defenders, and he just broke tackles and got away from them.
Also, I don't love if anyone tries to make the argument that Saquon has a great offensive line, and that's why it's sorry. When you're great, you need to be on a great team. That's how it works. Well, Michael Jordan was on a great team. LeBron had, a lot of the Cavs teams weren't that good. But LeBron was LeBron was with Wade and Bosch. Steph had Clay and Draymond. All of the best players of all time have good players on their team. That's why they're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we can't just specifically choose one guy to discount that.
We kind of just backed ass first into the argument that no, we don't make enough for LeBron over Jordan, which is outside of the Heat, all the other those guys, he didn't have a good teammate since until it took till Anthony Davis for him to even have someone else. So you're I want him on my team.
Yeah, the latter Cavs teams were bad.
It was tough.
I think it's hard. Just this is totally off topic, but it's hard to recreate the Jordan lore. You know what I mean?
Well,
he just has a special lore that will never be recreated by anyone.
I think a huge part of the Jordan lore, and I'm not taking anything away from Michael Jordan.
He benefited from not being in the internet era a lot.
Michael Jordan benefited that Scottie Pippen didn't want attention. Because if Michael Jordan did the exact same thing today, but whenever, it doesn't matter. If Scottie Pippen wanted glory, it would have been Jordan and Pippen. Like any other team where it's Malone and Stockton and like any other team you go through, you mentioned the good players, the LeBron, Jordan basically did a duo with the two three-peats. And then Scottie, I didn't really process that Jordan won every title with Scottie until they said it in the opening seconds of The Last Dance.
Yep.
Or that second episode's about Scottie, and he's like, yeah, I was there for every title run. I'm like, really? Weird. They never talk about you.
So it's just the simple answer is stop giving caveats to greatness.
Well, just
yes.
Stop making up reasons.
Stop diminishing greatness because they are surrounded by other great players. That is what makes a great team.
Right.
If Michael Jordan was on the worst team in the league, he would have been a really good player, but he wouldn't have been winning 6 titles.
It's a team game, but people like to talk about individuals. And so it's just, frankly, it's really hard to allocate credit to a group. But in football especially, like so much of what the weird magic of football and why it's so interesting is it's actually really hard to explain why anything went right or wrong. It's actually, there's so many things involved that it's hard to explain success or failure. Even for the teams themselves, like the Eagles went and won the Super Bowl and then paid Carson Wentz, and we're like, "Fuck, we shouldn't have done that." You know what I mean? Even the teams in the same moment don't know what happened. But
this is a segue for something. I just want to talk about the Eagles being a great team. I think to me, the Eagles this year, and I think a lot of people are going to focus on the Chiefs because of the three-peat, because of their success over the last couple of years, and because of Mahomes and all their greatness. But I think we can't lose track of how absolutely fucking dominant the Eagles are as a team. They've lost one game since September. They're 15-1 in their last 16 games.
The Jalen Hurts one, but that doesn't count because Jalen Hurts got hurt.
Jalen Hurts got
11 plays in the game. Yeah, that doesn't count.
Right. I mean, it counts.
And they lost
there's a
by
reason.
3.
Right.
With Kenny Pickett.
This is an absolutely dominant run by the Eagles in the playoffs. This is like the equation all these meathead coaches talk about all the time. It's like, we're going to run the ball 57 times and that's going to mean we're going to win. Or, all those like keys to the victory and everything. The Eagles are the living embodiment of all the cliche coaching things. This year, they have 13 touchdowns in the playoffs, which is more than any other team. They have 10 takeaways and no turnovers. In other words, they're living the protect the ball, run the ball, don't give the ball up like equation. This is like playoff football distilled into just one dominant team. It's pretty crazy. Like they've only turned the ball over 6 times in their last 16 games. They protect the football, they run the hell out of it, they take the ball away, and they don't give it up.
I'm obsessed with that because I realize now what you're saying. The Eagles are the first team to ever do what they said they were going to do, which is we will run for 250 yards every game, score, and not turn it over and take the ball every time. And
they're the platonic ideal of meathead football, and I love them for it.
Nick Sirianni is genius, really. To just what if we just did what we said we would?
This year's Eagles is like this Super Bowl is the ultimate test of like how willing are you to still take Patrick Mahomes versus this other team where everything
this is what I'm saying. Yes, this is exactly my point. Yes, the Eagles right now on paper, they look like a fucking buzzsaw, but the other team has Patrick Mahomes.
All right, well wait, we didn't plan this, but now I kind of want to do an impromptu draft. Mm-hmm. So if you were going to draft players in this game that you would take.
Yeah, we did this with Commanders Eagles, where we're like, is Jaden Daniels the only player on the Commanders starting roster that you would actually put on the Eagles?
Chiefs are better. Mahomes, but like once you take Mahomes first.
Yep.
Depending where Chris Jones is also.
I think Chris Jones is way up there.
But let's just be generous. Let's say that the first 2 players you would take is Mahomes and Chris Jones.
It's like, is it then 10 straight Eagles?
I mean, Lane Johnson is better than anyone the Chiefs have on the line.
Fucking Saquon.
Saquon, AJ Brown, Saquon and AJ Brown are probably the second and third best, or third.
All
and fourth
the players on
their
offensive line.
Yeah, O-line.
I mean,
AJ
Jalen Carter,
Devontae Smith, Jalen Carter, and Jordan Davis.
Yeah,
Quinion, Cooper DeJean,
McDuffie.
Slay.
McDuffie is probably the best corner.
McDuffie's in that group.
Yeah.
Can I do a quick Jalen Carter aside while we're talking about this?
Please, he's unbelievable.
Jalen Carter. I don't think you realize this. He's already tied for the most postseason pressures. He has 20 pressures, according to PFF.
Pressure.
He has 20 pressures in this game in these playoffs, which is already tied for the most in the last 12 years. He has, if you go back to last year, the interior defensive lineman that had more pressures was Chris Jones. He had 16, or sorry, that had the most pressures in the playoffs. Chris Jones was 16. Jalen Carter has 20 in the same amount of games. Chris Jones had 20 the year before. Aaron Donald had 23 the year before. So he's chasing Aaron Donald right now.
I know I keep repeating myself on this, but like, do you remember like the best 3 college defenses I've ever seen were, the 2001 Hurricanes and like those LSU Bama teams in 2011, 2012, and then that Georgia defense in 2021. And when I watched the Eagles, they literally got Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, and Jordan Davis on the same fucking line. Like, how did they let him, how did they do that? How did no one else think we shouldn't? Oh my God.
And then they were like, we'll take Saquon. And everyone's like, cool.
Here's the way I want to put it. Here's how I want to put it. He's having an Aaron Donald-esque impact on games.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald had 23 pressures in 4 games in the 2021 playoffs. Jalen Carter has 20 right now, so he could pass him in this next game. He from a pressures point of view, he's having an Aaron Donald type of performance. It's wild when he goes especially late in the game. In the last couple of games, late in the games, when it really matters, especially against the Rams, because it came down to the last couple of drives. He is just unblockable, and I think that's always been kind of the thing with Carter is he has rare size and rare twitch for his player, but can we get him to play the whole game? I think there was always this question, how many top tier snaps can we get out of him in any given game? When he's doing the Chris Jones thing, when it really matters, he is unblockable. He's unstoppable. He is an absolute scheme and strategy wrecker for the Eagles. And obviously they have a lot of other good players on their defensive line too. But I just wanted to point out Jalen Carter, he's been so disruptive. It's almost Aaron Donald-esque in the amount of pressures that he's created.
Can I ask you guys a question? Because I'm biased and you guys, I would ask you to be objective about this. How long do you think it will take until the Giants are better than the Eagles again? Everyone we're talking about being good is 24 years old.
If they have the ball at the 1 yard line and they try and throw it in and get intercepted and lose the Super Bowl, then I think there's a chance that the Eagles could fall apart.
They disintegrate because they're mad at each other.
Yeah.
Do you think the Giants have a better record than the Eagles before the final Avatar movie comes out?
Oh, what year is that?
Who knows?
Do you think the Giants are going to be better than the Eagles anytime over the next 16 years while Patrick Mahomes is playing out his career?
Oh, that's good. Does Mahomes retire before or after the Giants have a better record than the Eagles?
What happens first? Calvin goes to college or the Giants have a better record than the Eagles?
Record? We could do it once, but be a better
No,
team.
this is silly. Things change in the NFL quickly.
I know, but it's not just a better record, but be perceived as the better team. That could take 20 years.
I don't know. I think it can happen faster than you think in the NFL. Things fall apart pretty quickly.
I just every conversation we have about how incredible the Eagles are, I'm nothing's changed in the 7 years between when they won the Super Bowl. Whatever, man. It's fine. We'll move on. I get it. The Giants suck.
It's not looking good right now, but you never know.
Are we done with our facts? I have one dumb one to finish.
Wait, hold on.
Off.
Did we want to continue with the draft, or are we good? Did we kind of establish what we?
I think we figured out. The Eagles have most of the good players.
Yeah.
Fair.
They have probably 75% of the good players of the starting 22 on each side. Okay, this is a really stupid fact, but I love these. In this century, every time the city that the Super Bowl is in has been played between the two cities of the teams in the Super Bowl. So every time the Super Bowl hosting city is between the other two team cities, the team traveling west has won every single time. Which is the Eagles traveling west to New Orleans.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? Anytime
means traveling towards
every
the
time
east
the
is
team
bad.
has traveled west to meet in the middle, they have beaten the team traveling east.
Out of how many times?
Not sure.
Doesn't matter.
Whoa.
Doesn't matter.
This is cold hard.
I want to make sure I'm understanding this. So you're saying, but you're not counting Super Bowls where they both have to fly in the same direction.
Correct.
If it's in LA or whatever. But if you're not counting that, if they have to be in the middle, the team going east has lost every Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't know. Maybe it's a time zone
It
thing.
sucks to go against the time zones.
Yeah, but you're there for a week.
Doesn't matter.
You guys are flying east and want to do a pod at 10:30 in the morning.
Also, 16 of the past 20 Super Bowl winners have worn white, and the Chiefs are wearing white.
Somebody pointed this out on Twitter. Somebody needs to tell all the Eagles players to wear white gloves. Because do you remember at the end of the last Super Bowl between these two teams, there was the holding call?
And
it was partly because the gloves were green.
That's actually they should 100% do that.
Yeah. They should. I don't know how that's not they're not always thinking about it. It's weird to me. Sometimes the Chiefs, it's so annoying when they wear yellow. The Chiefs with the yellow gloves, and I think you think it's a flag every time.
Yeah, every time.
As if it's part of the ref conspiracy. But they should wear white gloves. The Bradbury thing was crazy, and also we haven't somehow we made it this far and haven't talked. The last Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl, the field was a mess. Remember
in
that?
Phoenix?
Yeah, do you remember that? The sod father.
They were
had,
all
done
slipping
cool
around,
field.
and they all had to change their cleats halfway through. Yeah,
they would build this special grass for the game.
Hurts changed his cleats a couple times, didn't he?
Yeah, and it was supposed to be the sod father. This 99-year-old groundskeeper had
done
all this work and be like, oh, this one's my masterpiece, and it was a disgrace.
He's 99.
He was old. Maybe he's not 99.
Can't find another guy to do grass. Greg.
Sod father.
I guess not. Look, I think Clint Eastwood's
94.
94 still directing movies. You know
He
what
was
I mean?
94 2 years ago. So George,
Imagine
he's
taking
96.
Imagine taking stage direction from fucking Clint Eastwood.
I gotta say,
94-year-old.
this is a hot take, but I thought Clint Eastwood's newest movie was bad. Juror number 2.
I don't think it's that hot.
I think people really like it, but
Oh,
I
really?
genuinely thought it was bad, and you could feel the 94-year-old director
this
behind
the
every single scene.
94-year-oldness.
It was some TV movie ass acting and writing. I'll just say that.
What was did you say it was a great premise for a movie and terrible
Amazing
directing?
premise. This movie could have been fucking incredible, but it was super
Remind me
mid.
what the premise was, because I remember you told me and I was like, wow, that is a good premise.
It's a guy gets called into jury duty, and in the middle of the trial, he realizes that he may have been responsible for the murder, not the defendant.
That is a great idea.
It's a great idea, but every deliberation scene is like watching community theater. It's really bad.
No offense to community theater.
Oh no,
No, it's like
Some of
it's
it.
like
They
a
get
Clint
it. I
Eastwood
mean-
movie. Every community theater Craig goes to is like a Clint Eastwood movie.
Austin says he walked out of the theater.
good for you, Austin. I was just talking to Sean Fennessy and Mags, and both of them loved the movie. Sure, Sean liked it, and I can't. Adam Naiman, who's like Mr. Film Critic, who's on the Big Picture lot, liked it, and I was just shocked.
Oh man.
Check it out. Juror number 2. It's on HBO.
Austin walked out because he couldn't put it on 3.5x in the theater.
You want to do some emails?
Yeah.
All right. We got an email here. Someone did ask to redact their name, but I redacted their name because it was like a lot of their information about their job, and I didn't really want to get them fired. But redacted.
Redacted.
So we were asking about pharmaceutical drugs and like, what's up with the whole commercials for things that you have to ask your doctor about. So Redacted writes, believe it or not, pharma TV commercials do tend to work. I work in pharma marketing analytics.
Wow.
One of my main work streams is TV analytics. I help set up, design, and execute studies to measure the performance and impact of these commercials. It's nuts how it works, but I can boil it down. When the commercial for it runs, pick what was the one we were joking about? The
one that I was talking
whatever.
about was the one that was for
There's a cancer treatment.
it was
drug.
like late stage metastatic pancreatic cancer, which I just thought seems so specific. It'd be hard to imagine
So
that.
yeah,
it
this
could
one
pay
is
off, but
what is that one? I don't remember the name. I guess that means it's not a great commercial. But anyway, whatever commercial during the NFL games,
Mhm.
he says it's nuts how it works. But when the ad runs, we can figure out if you have the disease for whatever the drug is trying to treat. If we can figure out if you filled a prescription after seeing the ad, and we can figure out if you went to the doctor after seeing the ad. And it's a little big brothery, but you would be amazed how much your TV viewing habits are tracked.
wow.
We then compile all that data and we'll report on what channels did the best, what time of day performed the best, if men or women are more receptive, et cetera, et cetera. Compare the population of individuals who have seen it, blah, blah, blah. But it raises it 5 to 15% more likely to fill a prescription. And again, these drugs are, some of these drugs might be $20,000 depending on what it is.
So they have deals with like third-party ratings, like Nielsen and stuff like that, to see who's watching, and then they have deals with Google to see what they're Googling.
It's probably the smart TV. It's probably like if you have a Google TV and then you Google it, it's like they probably they can probably, snatch all that.
Well, I did say I don't really understand how advertising works, and this is illuminative. Is that the word?
I think it sounds like, remember
Illuminating.
when we were younger and Ubers were really cheap and we're like, wow, that's kind of sick. And then it was like, oh, it's because like they were losing money.
Market.
Because they're not
how,
making any money.
TVs
for the
are really
first 5
cheap?
years.
And we're like,
Yeah.
that's weird. The only thing in my entire life that got cheaper is TVs, even though they're all better. And I'm like, oh, maybe because we got them from Amazon and Google. I never thought about that, really. Anyway.
Yeah.
It is funny. It's kind of funny how you can ask literally any question on this podcast and get like someone who works in that industry or will respond.
I know, it's
love
the
it.
best.
This is the best way to crowdsource ever. Make a podcast.
It's like if Google Gemini was actually good.
I know. It really is. It really is. It's like,
It's
if
not,
anyone,
it's real intelligence, not artificial.
if anyone can explain why TVs are so cheap, please email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. I feel like I'm right. I don't know if it's right because like 1% or 99% explaining that. So like, and let us know why TVs actually are cheap. Because now that I think about it, maybe we've been bamboozled this whole time. Okay, another email here. Got an email here on Girl Scout cookies.
Okay. From whom?
Would you like to remind people
Oh yeah.
why
So-
this is relevant?
So we were talking at the end of the last episode when we talked about cookies and what cookies you like store bought. And then somehow we got on hot takes. And I said that when we went on the hottest take, which was now a defunct Ringer podcast, my hottest take was I think Girl Scout cookies suck. And again, it's not that Girl Scout cookies suck. It's that if you grade them on the curve of cookies, they're not that good. They're not special. They're not. It's like the emotional attachment is it's thrilling to eat cookies and think that you're a good person. That's great.
It gives you a good reason to have cookies.
Do you really think, like, when I buy Girl Scout cookies, it's not because, to be honest, it's not because I'm trying to help out the Girl Scouts. It's because I like the fucking cookies.
Trying to help out my mouth.
Yeah, but
I'm
you're
never like,
oh,
this is a nonprofit and I'm doing something good. I'm like, I like Thin Mints.
Well, they get you. That's the other thing is, so this is also where Mitchell sent a great email in that also goes in it. Mitch, he says, Heifetz, I think you're missing a take about Girl Scout cookies. Despite earning $800 million in revenue or whatever each year, which I have to fact check that, but that sounds like a lot.
Damn.
That must be all time.
We should sell Ringer Fantasy Football podcast cookies.
Oh, that's a good idea. Girl Scout cookies are allowed to use unlimited free labor from scouts across the country. And they're and the only product in the entire world that you could just sell the items in front of the competitors' stores. Like you're just selling the Girl Scout cookies in front of the supermarket and in front of Target. Imagine you go to a hardware store and some volunteer child working for free is trying to sell you a hammer for twice as much as the hammer's inside.
And not only that, I mean, you are at your hungriest before you walk into a grocery store, right?
Yes!
Like it's the first thing you're like, oh my God, of course I'll buy these cookies. And then you walk in and you're like, well, I already bought cookies outside. I don't need to buy them in the store.
Exactly. And so it's just small
kind
children.
Of a pyramid scheme, isn't it?
It's kind of a racket.
Yeah.
Big Girl Scouts. Big Girl Scout cookies just out here. But yeah, also you can buy the Girl Scout cookies year round at Aldi, which I didn't know until Mitch sent this email in.
Oh, you can buy them online year round?
Year round at Aldi. I don't know if you can buy them online at Aldi.
What are you saying? At Aldi?
Aldi, the supermarket. Is it Aldi?
I've never even heard of that.
Aldi's a supermarket.
An East Coast thing?
I don't know. The supermarkets are way more regional than you realize till you move somewhere.
Yeah, they really are.
I guess I'd never actually thought about where Aldi is in America.
Is Aldi even in New York? I feel like
do this Aldi.
Where is it located?
DK, do you know Safeway?
Yeah.
We
what
have
about Vons?
I've seen Vons. We don't have any Vons here though.
Because Safeway, I think Safeway's
Vons
in Northern California.
I've been to in California.
Yeah, Vons is in Southern California, and Safeway, I believe, is Northern California. Because I grew up with Safeways.
We have up here, we have Albertsons. Do you have Albertsons? Mm-hmm. We have Safeway. Mm-hmm. Those are like the big ones, I think. And then we have Hagen, which is a regional brand.
Did you ever have Ralph's?
No.
Oh.
And then I go to Grocery Outlet.
This might be the most boring thing we've ever done.
This is the worst part.
Let's keep talking about it. Let's dive deep.
I feel like this was something I talked about with everyone in the first week of college where everyone's like, you don't know the supermarkets? That's weird. And then like everyone's like, my supermarket's not everywhere? How strange. Anyway, yeah, those conversations sucked at the time too, and they kind of still suck now. One day we should have a Patreon where it's all the boring shit we cut.
People pay to listen to the worst content we make.
That's how advertising works. Oh my God.
We just say it's exclusive and we'll give out Girl Scout cookies for the listeners.
All right, this email's from Brandon.
Let's go. Sorry.
Oh, enough of that. Don't even get me started.
Great. Just cackles.
Your Coachella versus Lord of the Rings bid inspired me to make the below list of Dune property or Red Rocks Act.
Oh God.
What is that? What do you mean Dune property?
I don't know what that means. Is that like a thing? It
could be a name. It must be like something in Dune.
I think it probably means like
or does
name
he just mean
place.
like IP, like anything in Dune?
Probably, yeah.
I think anything in Dune.
So anything in Dune or Red Rocks Axe?
Yeah. I guess there's like a name for something in Dune, yeah.
It's harder if it's literally anything in Dune.
So it turns out that he actually explained it in that sentence. I should have kept reading.
Nasty women.
Nasty women trying to wage a holy war. A little desert mouse.
Muad'Dib.
They call him Muad'Dib.
Oh, God.
Anyway, so Brandon says, limiting the Dune stuff to only names in the Dune universe felt wrong, so I included some other things. I didn't give the answers here for fear I'd screw it up. So great. Okay, no answer.
Okay. What do we mean? He included other things? What does that mean?
So we got to Google it all.
So it's Dune names or other stuff?
Things in Dune or Red Rocks Acts.
What year from Red Rocks?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
It matters a little bit.
He didn't say.
Okay.
Number 1, Spyro Gyra. or Spiro Hira. I don't know. Spyro with a Y and then Gyra.
I think that's a band. It's my guess.
I think it's from Dune.
I don't know. I'll say Dune, I guess.
It's a band.
Okay.
Number 2.
Should always just go with what Craig says.
Yeah, I'm just going to start tailing Craig till he's cold. All right, Crop, might as well just ask Craig. Craig, Red Rocks band or something from Dune? Axolotl tanks.
Craig's like size.
Is it 2 words and the last word is tank?
It's AXOLOTL.
Can you, Heifetz, can you drop it in the text chain real quick so we can actually look at these words?
Is the second word tanks?
Yeah.
I'll probably go with Dune.
Is this like that black tar that they like regenerate in? Dune.
Yes, from Dune. This is the second word, tanks. Okay, the third one. Red Rocks actor something from Dune. Miles Teg.
Miles Tag?
Teg.
Teg, like T-E-G-G?
T-E-G.
I'm going to go with Red Rocks.
That was my instinct too. Band.
I'm just going to tail Craig till he's wrong. It is from Dune.
Damn it.
Who's Miles Teg?
Number 4, Red Rocks actor from Dune. Daniel and Marty.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
What is that? What are they, like a tag team in Dune? I'm going with Red Rocks.
Oh, no, they're in Dune.
Another Dune one?
Daniel and Marty are in Dune.
Daniel and Marty. We got to remember, Craig, the Dune names are really corny.
Duncan, Idaho.
Duncan, Idaho.
Red Rocks actor Dune. Neil Sedaka.
That sounds
like
Dune-y.
a band.
Oh, I'm going. But we just did 2 Dunes in a row. I don't know if I should start factoring in that. Neil Sedaka. I'm gonna go Dune.
I'm gonna say band.
I'm going band. Neil Sedaka is an American sing-songwriter, pianist.
Sing-songwriter?
Sing-songwriter?
That's what Google Gemini's spitting out?
It's American singer-songwriter and
Damn
pianist.
Dune has foiled me.
Face dancers.
Oh, boy.
I'm going band.
I'm trying to visualize the
face dancers.
I'm going band. Face dancers.
I'm going with Dune.
I'm going to go with band.
Fuck, it's from Dune.
Yes! Tell me about these face dancers. I'm intrigued.
Petra. P-E-T-R-A.
Gut says band.
Say it again.
My gut says Dune.
I was busy looking up face dancer. I'm going band.
Yeah, it's a band.
Nice.
The face dancers were a sterile race of metamorphic transhumans, and they were born from axolotl tanks, as we previously mentioned.
They're born
like the
from
genre
the
of
tanks?
music they did
Apparently.
came from that.
Yeah.
Paul Atreides. Saying Paul Atreides. Little Desert Mouse.
All right, last one here. Wellington UA. Wellington, and then the last name is Y-U-E-H.
Y-U-E-H?
Wellington UA.
Band.
Wellington? Ain't no Wellingtons in Dune, right?
Duncan.
Ain't no Herberts in Middle Earth. Wellington.
Ain't no Wellingtons in Dune.
Wellington.
Ain't no Wellingtons in Arrakis. Fuck it. Dune. We ride.
It's from Dune.
Yes.
Wellington. The Dune characters. My God. I need to read Dune.
We're in New Orleans all week. We have shows coming, and we have fun stuff coming on Instagram this week. Check Instagram, TikTok. I'm Blue Sky now. Follow me on Blue Sky. It's a lovely place. Ringer Fantasy Football on Instagram and TikTok. We got more Super Bowl stuff
I'm on
coming.
Blue Sky
the whole
too.
offseason.
Not just
Me too.
Heifetz.
Me too.
You didn't even tell me.
Come hang
I
out.
don't have as many followers as you guys on Blue Sky. You
I
guys
don't
are
even
crushing
follow
it.
you now. I'll follow
You don't?
You didn't tell me. I didn't know you were
Craig,
on
you
there.
don't skeet enough.
No, stop.
Don't stop. Jesus.
We're not doing that.
We're not calling
Stop
it
trying
that.
to make Skeet a thing.
I'm not trying to make it a thing.
You
It's a
just
thing.
did it. You just
It's
made it a thing.
I'm just saying what the slang is. What
That ain't the slang.
No, it's
people
not.
say
We're
when
not.
instead of tweeting, it's skeeting.
No, it ain't.
I think it is.
No. Maybe in your weird
Beg
world.
to differ.
No. Don't ever say that again, please.
No. It's the worst word ever to say out loud.
Dude.
And not only like skeet is bad, and then you say skeeting is
Dude,
10 times
skeeted.
worse.
You
It's
skeeted.
ridiculous.
You haven't skeeted enough, Craig.
It's like
Your dad is showing.
Is there a way to say come but make it more off-putting?
It's funny. Come on. Jeez,
Oh,
live a little.
God.
If you were on Bill's pod
I probably wouldn't say
Okay.
That's what I fucking thought.
Just, well, what do you want to call it? What do we call it?
I don't know.
on Bill's show and just being like, yeah. So
Hosting?
like, I'm reading from this like Skeet the other day I had that the Seahawks EPA per play is like really, yeah, no, you're not doing that.
Twitter is the only social media platform where you like say,
Yeah.
like that makes up its own verb. Like
Just say
Instagram,
fucking post
you
it.
just post on Instagram, you post on Facebook, whatever, right? I guess you Snapchat somebody, but that's not the same because you're not posting.
Yeah, it's like, should we call it post or should we call it the worst word we have?
I'm gonna keep saying skeet.
Okay.
Just so you know.
All right.
You can't bully me out of it.
That's our
We'll
quote
see.
card for this episode. I'm going to keep saying skeet.
Can't bully me out of it. That's the stuff that goes on Instagram. All right. Thank you, DK. Thank you, I almost called you Carlos. Thank you, Craig. Well, thank you. Honestly, Carlos does just as much here. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Kai. Thank you, Austin. I'm calling everyone the wrong name. But yeah, thank you, everyone, listening. ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Email us. What did I want emails about?
Which of our names sounds the most Dooney? Kai Grady?
Kai Grady.
Ooh,
could
yeah.
be like,
That sounds
Kai,
kinda
Kai
Dooney.
Grady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could
Duncan
be
Idaho
Dune.
and Kai Grady.
Yeah. Duncan and Kai.
That's like the Daniel and Marty.
Yeah, that's big. Thank
Austin
you, Lord.
Gale, maybe.
Lauren.
Thank you, Damian Marley.
Oh.
Who's Damian
Sure.
Marley?
Bob Marley's
Son-
kid.
the son of Bob Marley.
Oh,
one
really?
of many. Bob Marley had like
Damian
a bunch of
Marley.
kids.
He has several, I believe.
Damian Marley.
Damian Marley he makes music. He does music.
Yeah, doesn't he sing? Oh, doesn't he sing "Welcome to
Jam rock.
Jam Rock"? Yes, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait. Can you hear that beeping or no?
No,
I got Jackie a Tamagotchi for Christmas and it's hungry.
what
What?
the fuck are you talking about?
It was a joke. She wanted a Tamagotchi, and so I got her one as a stocking stuffer, and now I have to feed this thing. Beeps all day.
You get stuck with it?
I get stuck with your fucking Tamagotchi because I don't want to turn it off.
Throw it in the
Oh my God.
trash.
It'll beep in the trash.
It's
It's
like a
gonna be like,
fucking
where's-
smoke detector. I didn't even know they were still making those. So where did you buy
I
it?
know. Well, it was a deep cut. She told me she loved Tamagotchi as a kid, so I went and got her like a little Hello Kitty Tamagotchi.
Did you find it on like eBay or where are they selling?
I don't know. It might have just been Amazon. I don't know. But like, I had never like seen them. I didn't really know what they were. I
It's
never had to
hungry.
feed them.
I gotta feed this damn thing.
Dude, there was a moment in my life when there was like a 2-month stretch where Farmville had like a
Ugh.
vice grip around my life.
Yeah.
Farmville was crazy.
I would
man.
be like out with my friends and think I was like, fuck, my watermelons are ready and I'm not home.
Dude, what the fuck?
I remember like one of a story I wanted to write for the Ringer.
It's already.
There's
The
only a
story-
2-hour window to harvest and I won't be home.
Dude, your Farmville was active till like 2019. It took forever for them to shut that off. I remember I opened it once. I opened Facebook the first time in years and I found my farm and I was like, oh my God. Like going back to Chernobyl. Like everything's untouched. It's like, oh my God.
Oh, God.
We do the dumbest shit.
Should we do that at the Super Bowl? Should we sit down at Radio Row and have people play Farmville with us?
Yeah,
I've
ruin their lives.
never played Farmville. I don't know what it is.
Wow. That's
But
like
is it
SpongeBob era
Sim-
then.
I played Sim City growing up. Did you ever
I
play
never
Sim
played
City?
SimCity
Sims.
still-
I never played Sims.
But
like
that's
the
still a thing
original SimCity.
generationally. Like our generation still did SimCity, but Farmville is like a real dividing line of like it was kind of like the TikTok of its day. Like that's really it. It's like the kids, Zoomers today, they got the TikToks.
Out with his
We used to do
friends.
farming. We would farm. We would leave school and hit the farms, work the fields.
He's fretting about his watermelons when he's like supposed to be living his life.
Dude, the hay. I had my cows.
I'd be like, I just spent a lot of money planting these fucking pineapples and I'll be damned if I'm not home to harvest these.
Oh my
the
god!
they would go bad, DK, if you didn't farm the
Yeah.
the
And
crops.
it costs a lot of
Yeah.
money.
What's the
Yeah.
point? Like, did
The
you
point
win?
is just to have a
Yield.
flourishing farm
Yeah.
and make money.
As in the words of Martha Stewart, if you want to be happy for a year, you get married. If you want to be happy for a decade, you get a dog. And if you want to be happy your whole life, build a garden.
Well, why didn't you have a real garden?
Because I was 12.
You can't plant a fucking seed at 12 years old. Oh my god. This is what I'm saying. We do stupid shit. But I mean,
Against the
he was
retrospect,
12.
we
What are you
could have
talking
learned
about?
to farm.
I've
You
been
don't
part of
realize
that.
the scale we were working with, DK. I had hundreds, thousands of crops I was
Yeah.
running.
You would never.
I was a
believe it.
mogul.
was running.
I was building sheds left and right.
Opium plants out here.
Yeah.
It's black market shit.
Coca leaves. Sure.
Yeah, I've got tons of plants out hidden out in the jungle at different places. I had a whole fucking operation.
The computer game era was like, we were doing Roller Coaster Tycoon. We were doing Backyard Baseball.
Backyard Baseball and Backyard Football. Dude, they're bringing it
I don't know
back,
anything about
like,
Backyard Baseball.
Anyone, I wanted this more than anything I've ever shouted
They
out.
should make that animated movie. Maybe it wouldn't work, but
if anyone can connect me with the people making the Backyard Baseball games again, talk to me because I can help you. I just want to succeed. Like, I just want you to do good. I don't need any money. I just want your time. Like, let me tell you my thoughts. I played that shit in the pandemic as an adult with my brother.
It's wild how close we are in age, and I've never heard of like half the things you guys did growing up.
Just kidding.
I mean, on a galactic sense, Craig, you motherfucker.
Yeah, that's true. On a galactic sense, we are like mere particles apart.
Yeah.
Like if you look at it from like a geological point of view.
Yeah, if you look at the calendar of the Earth's existence.
Right.
Never
heard of Backyard Baseball. I never played Farmville.
Backyard Baseball
some other
was
weird shit.
What about Roller
Got
Coaster
into
Tycoon?
No, I've never even heard of that.
Really?
You ever heard of Roller Coaster Tycoon?
No.
Dude, that shit
I was too
best.
busy out in the woods looking at porn.
You were out planting a garden.
That's probably true. That's actually
I was out
facts.
planting a garden and
You were
looking
out
at porn.
Timing works.
Jerking off in your garden.
Into my garden. I was skeeting.
You were skeeting in your garden. With your dirty magazines.
This is when I was really skeeting. Christ.
I'm out here building the wooden roller coaster and you're jerking off in your
I
garden.
feel like that would be best, like salting the earth. It's not good. It's not good for your garden. It doesn't make things grow. I mean, it makes something grow, but not in that environment.
Right.
You didn't say plant a seed.
Craig says right.
Right.
Goodbye, everyone.